questionable tonight. What is he going to go through warm up and then see how he feels, or have you guys already made a decision on that?
No decision. I think you hit it on the head the first time. Just, have a chance with a back-to-back. You don't really, you get treatment, you take care of yourself, and then when you get on the court that evening, see how you're doing. So we'll monitor him and make a decision.
Is this something that's a carryover from last night's game?
DJ?
Yes.
Yeah, he took a shot in the quad. So yeah.
Just given the pace of last night's game and then the nature of the back-to-back, do you anticipate maybe going into the bench more? Or, will last night's game have any effect on this night's game?
I think the most important thing, anytime you play back-to-back, regardless of the pace, although it's a fast-paced game, obviously, is there aren't any excuses. You come ready and you compete. And last night was last night. I don't care if you were watching an NFL game or playing an NBA game. I'm ready to go today.
But just the emotional aspect of a back-to-back like this, a little different than normal back-to-back, maybe because of the score last night.
I think it would have been, if it were 76-75, you could make an argument that it was equally, grinded out game. So, every game is different. I think certainly the amount of, they keep track of that second spectrum or something, can figure out how much you had to run and move. But as I said, that can't factor into, any reason why we can or cannot do something tonight.
With you guys having, 3 different sets of back-to-backs within a 2-week period, just what are you hoping to learn about your team from last week's back-to-back tonight and then over the weekend?
I think that, whether we've won 3 in a row, lost 3 in a row, back-to-back, on the road, at home, whatever the case is, I think what we're focused on is continuing to improve and continuing to build habits that are sustainable and that will give us, the results that we want. And, oftentimes it's adversity that allows you, the focus to do that, and just try to control what we can and keep getting better, whether it's a back-to-back or coming off of Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be.
Last night's game was just so unique. Did you learn anything about your team? I mean, you know them inside and out, but it was such a unique game.
A few things were affirming. I think we played offense, particularly in the first half. We scored in the second half too, but particularly there was stretches where we were really connected and we executed on a real high level, which included transition. We've seen this team, deal with in-game adversity and respond. So I thought to see the resilience of the group when we had a lead, and then Indiana, Halliburton got really hot. We lost the lead. I think we were down 10 again at one point. I can't recall the exact numbers, but we were able to come back from that and have a one possession game at the end of the game. So that resiliency and kind of perseverance is something we want to continue to have and do. I think the other thing, regardless, when you look at the score, it's obvious that both teams played well offensively, and so you don't want to overreact on some level. When Halliburton was shooting the ball from 140 feet, at the hash mark, you have to respond, and we have to respond to the game too. And when I say that, I think we need to continue to respond defensively, and that's going to be more difficult sometimes than others. But I'd like for that to continue to be a mindset that we develop, and that's something we just have to stay the course on. When I talk about habits, there are habits offensively for sure. The habits that we're developing defensively. We did get back better in transition last night in spite of the score, but we didn't always match up. We didn't always communicate. So I think you're learning things every game, and certainly when a game is as unique as last night's, you take away different things.
Quinn talking about habits. Last home game before you hit the road for 5. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for your team to execute on defense before you hit the road?
Well, I think to your point, obviously you want to win the game, you know, and that's the focus. And then in that, you know, to the extent that we're displaying and executing, you know, it gives you, you know, a higher probability, a better opportunity to win the game. So I really believe us focusing on those things and those processes is the way to get where we're going, regardless of the score. But you know, the score oftentimes reflects that. Every opponent's different. Tonight's game will be a different game. You know, some consistency, and that this is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. They have their whole team is taking them, and they're making them. So you know, they get them in different ways. They're, you know, although Indiana's a pick and roll team, there was a lot in transition. But Brooklyn's similar in that regard, that they drive the ball and kick it and shoot it. So, as I said, certain things you can take with you game to game and continue to, you know, to learn from them and find that they may be even more important, you know, other games down the road. So, as I said, obviously you want to get a win going into the road trip as well. But as much as anything, I really believe that whether we're playing at home or on the road or whatever it is, we need to continue to work to be consistent, and that involves our habits.
You played a long stretch last night without either Clint or Nick on the court down the stretch. I know that's probably dictated by the game flow, but is that something you can even prepare for when you're just kind of playing no center for that period of time?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting, those are fundamentally the question really for you as a coach is, do you chase a matchup, meaning do you adjust what you're doing based on what they're doing? Or do you make them chase a matchup? You know, do you stay big, so to speak? I think the way that last night's game was going, the fact that they were spread out the way they were, it made sense in that moment. To not only to have JJ at the 5, but to have Bogey in the game. You know, the way that he was shooting the ball. And I always am, I don't know what the right word is, because I'm not surprised, I'm not amused, I don't know what it is, but when you make an adjustment as a coach and you're congratulated on that adjustment because you won by 4, who's to say that if you did something different, you wouldn't have won by 12? So you do the best you can, and you know, that's part of it. You know, you just do the best you can, and you analyze those things as a coach more than anybody. And hopefully, the same thing I'm saying with our team, you learn from them. You know, I played Bogey last night in foul trouble, and it looked like a really good decision, right? Because he started banging more threes. And had he picked up his 4th foul, I would have been the dummy that played Bogey with 3 fouls. So you kind of have to be prepared for either side of it and go like this and hope it works out.
Quinn, as someone who has a law degree, does Bogey have a future, perhaps as a lawyer, the way he negotiated to stay in after the 3rd foul?
He didn't have to negotiate. He was on retainer.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.